Hey everyone, Gorzik here. Welcome to another bonus episode of Let's Play Ys I and II Chronicles Plus for the PC. Last time we explored Darm Tower and wrapped up Ys I's story. So that's what this bonus episode will cover. Optional events you can do while exploring the tower, and also a couple of other bonus things that I have yet to show off. Now, unless I'm forgetting something significant, this will likely be the last bonus episode for Ys I. Anyway, first thing you can do is you can actually visit Raba early. So normally you're supposed to visit him after you've gotten the idol from Dogi, and you give Raba the idol and he gives you the blue necklace. But with foreknowledge, you know that you can use the Mask of Ys to find out where he's hiding, so let's visit him without having found the idol just yet. He gives you some new dialogue. Apparently we startled him. He thinks we're a monster at first. And he's also a little bit skeptical of us, but he trusts us well enough. But not well enough to give us the blue necklace. So, as I said, you do need to return his idol to him for that, so unfortunately you still need to get caught in the cell trap. No getting around that. Speaking of the cell trap, this file here has just gotten caught in it. So, here, I'm speaking to Ludogemma for the first time in this playthrough. I have not done the side quest with him where his wife says he's missing, so I never bothered with that. And so here he has a little bit different dialogue, but nothing terribly interesting. Just says that he's a poet and he swims epic. And then from here I believe his dialogue is just the same as it normally would be. So, I am going to wait for Dogi to show up, and the reason I want to do this is because he's going to give us the idol, and that has a hidden use to it. So, let's get that. So, the idol does make you invisible, but as you can see, there are 3 cells here. So what happens if we get caught in the cell trap a second time? So normally he would go to Raba at this point and return the idol to him, but we're gonna skip that for now. So let's make our way back up to the 6th floor rather. And to get caught in the cell trap again, you can do it without the idol in I can't speak. You can do it without the idol in your inventory, but having the idol still does give you an additional interaction. So, let's enter the trap. So, we are in a new cell that Dogi hasn't punched the wall down in just yet. And also it says our silver equipment is missing again. Even though we didn't re-obtain it just yet, if we did, if we got caught in the trap after finding it, it would just get stolen from us again. Anyway, here's Dogi again. He has some new dialogue. Just don't fall for that trap again. Yeah, okay. Then he realizes no one seems to be in here, and that's because I have the idol equipped. So that first text box you will always get, even if you already have the blue necklace but you forget to equip it. But that second dialogue, it's only there if you have the idol on. So that's what happens a second time, but as I said, there are 3 cells. So we can do this a third time. Caught again. Let's wait for Dogi. So he's a little irritated. He loves breaking down walls, but this is getting a little bit ridiculous even for him. With the idol on, he realizes he's talking to himself. But then he realizes what we're doing, that we're using the idol, so... yeah, kind of fun messing with him a little bit, but he catches on. So, now that all 3 cells are broken, that cell, and that one. You can still get caught in the trap again, but it'll just place you in one of the 3 cells, so the walls are already broken for all 3 of them, so there's no need for Dogi to show up again, but yeah, pretty humorous. Speaking of Dogi, if you remember, he mentioned something about a rod needed to get further up the tower. Well, I've been further up and I have already found it, so if you want to, you can backtrack to him and show it to him. Completely optional, not terribly interesting, but if you want to, you can. He recognizes it as the one that Jebba's told him about. Completely optional. Okay, this bit I alluded to in the main episode. So in this file, I'm at the top of the tower, however, I don't have the blue amulet from Luda Gemma. So what happens when you try to go through this door is that. You get flung back. And so from this point, you would need to backtrack if you talk to Raba. In this file here, I'm not going to bother showing the backtracking, it's pretty straightforward. Aside from the mirror mazes, but I've already shown how to get back through those in the main episode anyways. So this file here, it has gotten flung back from the door, and when you do that and talk to Raba, he gives you some new dialogue. And so this is your hint about going to Luda Gemma for the blue amulet. He speculates that his necklace is not strong enough to get past the barrier on the door. But then he says he thinks Luda has an amulet made of the same type of crystal as his necklace. So we should go speak to him, see if we can't get him to lend it to us. So that's how you know to speak to Luda Gemma for the amulet. This file here, I'm just about ready to get the blue amulet from him. Before that though, if you use the mirror, you do get dialogue from him. Nothing real interesting. But right above his head, he can see it says resisted. So what that is Luda Gemma has the blue amulet, and the mirror effect is Luda Gemma's unaffected by it. And that is due to the blue amulet, I believe. Because I'll get the blue amulet right now. I'm just gonna skip the dialogue. Nothing new here. If you use the mirror again after he gives you the blue amulet, then you won't see the resisted thing. And in this version, I have to bring up the menu. Otherwise, it's kind of hard to see that the resisted text is even there in the first place, but it's not there now, and yeah, I'm pretty sure that's due to us having the blue amulet. So we'll actually get back to that in a little bit. So I'm gonna load Oh, before I do that, if you talk to Ludogema, he mentions his leg. That he's hurt it from one of the monsters. So if you're feeling generous, what you can actually do is if you have a heal potion, I'm at full HP, so normally I wouldn't be able to use this, but if you use the heal potion, it heals you and Ludogema. And doing that, you will actually say something a little bit new. His leg is a bit worse than I thought, but it does feel better. So that's pretty interesting that the developers made that little interaction. Of course, he's still gonna stay here, so... Okay. With the blue amulet in hand, you can now show this to Raba. He will only comment on this if you've gotten the hint from him before about seeing Ludogema for the amulet. So if you've never gotten flung back from the door, then you won't get this optional dialogue from him. But you can show it to him. It's like, yep, I believe that amulet will work. So who will we find up there? Now, if you notice, Raba is also injured. He has a little bit of blood on his face. So, like with Ludogema, you can use the heal potion around Raba as well. Heals him, but unfortunately, no new dialogue for that, so... Yeah, pretty interesting that they programmed in those interactions with the heal potion. Alright, next, I'm at the top floor of the tower. So you remember I used the mirror around Ludogema, and it gave us the resisted thing? Well, we have the blue amulet in our inventory. And dark fact, if you try using the mirror around him, you get this. He uses reflect magic, but we resist it. And I'm pretty sure that we only resist it because we have the blue amulet from Ludogema. I don't think it's possible to get up to the top floor here without the blue amulet in your inventory, but it does make me curious, like whether or not they programmed in something if we didn't have the blue amulet, like would we be stuck for a little bit or what? But anyways, the other thing I want to show off is normally you need the silver sword to defeat Dark Fact. However, if you don't have it equipped, then Dark Fact's dialogue changes a little bit. So here he says our efforts will be in vain, and that we will curse our weakness. So this text box only shows up if you do not have the silver sword equipped. Normally he says that when the 6 books are gathered, the great power will be revealed or something like that, but this is basically your hint that you won't be winning this fight, that you're doing something wrong. Now technically, it is possible to win the fight without the silver sword. I have done this, but only through the use of using tools and save states. So, normally he won't win. I'll show you why. See how much damage we're doing to him? We are doing very minimal damage. So even if I got more of the platform to disappear, it would only be like a quarter or half his health at best. Now, as I said, there is a way to actually defeat him without the silver sword, and that is through the use of the glitch I won't get into here. I've done another video about it, but for all intents and purposes, you need the silver sword, and that is because of the very limited amount of space you have, and yep, you just won't do nearly enough damage for the amount of space. So next, I have loaded up the Eternal version of the game. As you can see, Adol's sprite looks a little bit different in this version, and that's true of most of the graphics in this version of the game. Overall, the graphical style is still very similar to Complete and Chronicles, but I guess you could say it's a little bit more dated, more old school, but I feel it has a pretty unique charm to it. In some cases, I actually prefer the Eternal artwork. For instance, those backgrounds you see while climbing Darm Tower, those neat views of Asteria and of the crater that you get, I feel like those are actually better in this version, particularly at night, because in Complete and Chronicles, when it turns nighttime, it's just like several shades of blue and also the occasional light off in the distance. Kind of makes for a dull background in my opinion. But in the Eternal version of the game, when you climb Darm Tower at night, those backgrounds still retain much of their color, so they look quite a bit better in my opinion. But the only real weakness I would say that the Eternal graphics have is the close-up portraits. Those are basically the same as Complete's art style, but just not as polished, not as much detail to them. Overall, I really like the art style in the Eternal version. But the real reason I have loaded up the Eternal version of the game is because both it and Complete have a unique feature to them. Provided that you've drank the Bestiary Potion, not only will you see the boss's names, you also see that they have weird boss titles. You can see that up in the top right corner there. So, Genokris, he is listed as Fanais Tova's Redemption of Power. Nightulgar, he is listed as Golbadabi's Redemption of Light. And I'm gonna fight Nightulgar here because, as you can see, in this version, you actually do not receive knockback when damaging bosses. So that makes Nightulgar here really fun in particular. Just run circles around him, damage him continuously, and I think he's easily the most fun boss in this particular version. And I'm doing him without a proper weapon equipped, just makes it even more fun. But not being able to receive knockback when damaging bosses, it can be a bit of a hindrance, because Pictomos, for instance, in that case, it's suddenly really easy to accidentally take damage by walking into his scythes as they return to him. So you still got to be careful with it, but still just something unique to this version of the game. Next we have Vigolian, who I'm not going to actually fight. He is listed as Semsadal's Redemption of Earth. Now I should mention that in the Complete version of the game, both Nightulgar and Vigolian's titles are switched around. So Nightulgar is listed as Semsadal's Redemption of Earth, and Vigolian is listed as Golbadabi's Redemption of Light. So I think in the Eternal version of the game they made a mistake with that, because after you kill Nightulgar, you find Volume Hadal, and after defeating Vigolian, he finds Valiant Dabby, but up for debate, I suppose. But are you noticing a pattern with these titles so far? These names are the names of the books of Ys, which are named after the 6 priests. So, next we have Pictimos, Manal Messa's Redemption of Time. Next we have Consclard, who I am going to fight as well, because if you remember in the main episode of Darm Tower, I mentioned alternate strategy for dealing with him in this version, and that is simply to walk around him in circles. Now, to show off just how easy this fight is, in this version, I have deliberately unequipped the Silver Sword. This will prolong the fight, but I just want to do this just to show off how easy the strategy is. You do need good rhythm for it, but pretty easy. And I'm kind of screwing up here. So yeah, without the proper equipment he takes 128 hits, but that's really not much of a huge deal, honestly. He's very, very simple. If you do it right, you won't take any damage at all, hardly. Anyways, that was Consclard, and he was listed as Grak Gemma's Redemption of Wisdom. Next, we have Yoglix and Emulgan. They are listed as Amudafact and Fadfact's Redemption of Mind. And yeah, I know it says fucked instead of fact. That's just how the Japanese have chosen to Romanize that name. It's constantly joked about in the East community. And speaking of fact, Dark Fact here. Or should I say, Dogfoot. He is listed as a ruined Ys priest. So, what the heck is up with these boss titles? In order to explain my theory behind them, I will unfortunately need to spoil some of the plot points, particularly in Ys 2, so if that bothers you, I advise you to stop watching the video right now. So, to be honest, no one seems to know for sure what these boss titles mean, because Falcom, as far as I know at least, hasn't commented on it, or if they have, then it's in Japanese only, and I don't know Japanese, but so, what I think is going on is, well, I need to explain the backstory. So, the backstory of the whole Ys series somewhat revolves around winged beings that existed in the past, and these winged beings made a lot of magical items from a material known as Emulus. If you've played Ys 6, then Emulus is explained in more detail in that game. But basically, most of the magical items that you come across in the Ys series are made from Emulus in some way or another. So in Ys 2, you have the Black Pearl, made out of black Emulus. And in Ys 1, there's an item, the Mask of Eyes, made out of blue Emulus, and just various other things all throughout the series. And the reason I bring that up is because part of the backstory of Ys 1 and 2 in particular is a couple of those winged beings, the goddesses. They brought with them the Black Pearl when they founded Ys. And there were also 6 priests. basically humans that had pretty good amounts of magical power. So what they tried to do was they tried to recreate Emilus. They didn't succeed. They instead created Claria. So Claria is the magical metal, but in order for it to have any kind of magical power, they needed to use the power of the Black Pearl. And in order to properly use the Black Pearl, basically only the winged beings could use it. Because the winged beings have power over white Emilus, and that's kind of a thing. In order to properly use items made of black Emilus, which the Black Pearl is made out of, you need to use white Emilus. And so, according to what is known as the Ys Perfect Data Book, that's a Japanese only thing, I believe. It goes into the series lore more in depth. One of the things it mentions is that the 6 priests actually tried to use the power of the Black Pearl. So, as I said, only the winged beings can really use it, so only the goddesses can use it properly. So when the 6 priests used it, they inadvertently created demons because they didn't have full control over it. So that's what those boss titles are referring to. You have mention of those priest families: Tova, Hadal, Dabi, Mesa, Gemma, in fact. Yeah, so those names, I believe, are probably the names of the people that use the power of the Black Pearl to try to create something or other, but accidentally created demons by mistake. So, I don't know if those are the names of the original 6 priests or not. I'm kind of leaning towards not, because of Yogglix and Emolgan in particular. Because there you have 2 names for some reason. I'm not sure why there's 2 names in that case, but pretty interesting. But that's my theory regarding why those names are there. The redemption bits, I think, is just probably a case of Falcom having horrible English skills, as I've mentioned before. Probably should be translated as something else, like a manifestation of power, something like that. But we also have Darkfact here, who is referred to as a ruined East Priest. So, in East 2, we will actually meet Priest Fact, but when you see Ruined East Priest here, you might be tempted to think that Darkfact is the original Priest Fact. But, as I said, we will encounter Priest Fact in East 2, and that will quite obviously not be Darkfact. Okay, next I am going to load up this file. This file here has already beaten the game, and this is necessary for what I am about to show off here. We want to beat the game and get killed by a Pickard. Yes, a Pickard. And this only applies to the Eternal version of the game. So, once you beat the game, start up a new one, get killed by a Pickard at any point, and once you are on the game over screen, hold Y, S, and enter. And you go here. So we have this little creature running away from us. If you're quick, you can see him disappear into that computer monitor up here. Unfortunately, you won't be able to follow him along. You'll never be fast enough to actually catch him. So what you want to do instead is talk to this creature. I don't understand Japanese. This here is exclusive to the Eternal version of the game. You can't do it in Complete or Chronicles or Plus. And this version of the game doesn't have an English translation patch, so I'm not quite sure what they're saying. But I am told that this creature here is from another one of Falcom's games called Popful Mail. And I believe this creature is called Gau. And he will ask you a question, which I think is basically, who is he? So I'm gonna purposely get it wrong here. So here we get charged by Ruse and a group of humans, which I believe is intended to represent Falcom's staff members. So if you get it wrong and you talk to him again, he gives you one more chance. But I am going to get it wrong again. And what happens here is you get killed. Similar to if you use the evil ring. So after you hit Y, S, and enter for the first time to access this place, you can come back here at any point by doing that combination again. However, in this case, I'm not going to do it because it'll just trap me in a death loop because of the way I died here. So I'm going to let him kill me again, if he's going to cooperate or not. Come on. What are you doing? Okay. And this time I'm going to get the question right. And yeah, like I said, no way to actually catch this guy. He can get close, but no luck. So the correct answer in this case is the top choice. So he get it right, and he leads you to the computer monitor. So if this is a scripted event, it's the only way to actually get in here. And we are in Ys Eternal's development room. So I don't really know what these people are saying, but this guy here looks like he's kind of working out or something. If you talk to him a couple of times, he will sit down at his desk. We want him to do this because if you talk to him at his desk, he shows you a couple of pictures. So that's Elena from Ys 3. Talk to him again, he offers to show you another picture. Again, Elena from Ys 3. This one's pretty weird, but yeah. And again, I have absolutely no clue what's being said here, but I think the blue text is probably Adels in some way. This guy, if you talk to him enough, he also shows you a picture. And I think he only shows you a picture after the guy below him shows you his. Right here. So we got a picture of Fina, and I believe that is a young Rhoda tree. So that's a pretty cool picture in my opinion. That is the only one he shows you, unfortunately. These other guys, I have no clue what they say. Yeah, no clue what Addle's supposed to be saying there, or if it's simply descriptive text or what. I believe these are supposed to be Falcom's employees. So, this guy over here napping. Let's wake him up. This guy here is also starting to doze off, it looks like. Is he just saying the same thing? Yeah, I think he is. So this guy up here, if you talk to him enough, he will eventually mention something about Ys III. And I know that's a random bit of info, but it's important. Because after he mentions it, then we can talk to the first guy that showed us pictures, and we will get a quiz. The quiz, I believe, is about Falcom's various products throughout the years. And again, this was released in 1998, so obviously not all their products will be mentioned. So, after talking to that guy, speak to him again, and we will be subjected to a quiz. Now, we do need to get 8 answers right, and it's random which question he'll ask, so this could take me a while, but let's see. Got that one right. That one was wrong. Yeah, a lot of these I simply just don't remember the answer to. Would help if I knew Japanese, but I do not. I feel like I was already asked this one. That should be 8. Yep, he's gonna let us go, finally. Would be curious to know what those quiz questions are about, but Anyways, our last thing to do is this sleeping guy on the ground here. He's obviously asleep, but if he wakes up briefly, says some stuff to you, I'm not sure what. But if you talk to him 9 times, there is something special he will do. So here he's just kind of ignoring us now. But if we keep on pestering him enough, when we walk away, he suddenly gets up, and he is pissed. Yeah, so he does that really cool looking combo, just completely obliterates you. And I am at level 1 here. You can be at level 10, full health, that thing will still just completely decimate you. And I didn't show it, but when you're in the area, even if you have items and equipment already, they get taken away from you when you're in there. So, yep, nothing you can really use inside there. One final thing to point out is once you beat the Eternal version of the game, you are normally limited to this checkered style in the top left corner. This is the style the text boxes use, but when you complete the game for the first time, you get access to all these others, so kinda neat. They're kinda hit or miss, but yeah. Anyways, that is all I have for you guys. This concludes all the bonus stuff in Ys 1 that I can think of. Unless I'm forgetting something, I will move on to Ys 2. It will likely be a while before I do that, but yeah, we'll see how soon I'm feeling up to the task. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching.